today's Hillsborough Youth Ladder. My question pertains to abuse and neglect. Teen domestic abuse seems to be becoming more and more common. According to the Florida Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 1 in 3 teens knows a friend or peer who has been physically assaulted by their partner, and 1 in 5 adolescent girls will be physically and or sexually assaulted. Teens are also commonly victims of emotional and mental abuse. The effects of this abuse can be immense. The victims of these violent acts are more likely to abuse alcohol, drugs, and other people. They experience guilt, lower self-esteem, and loss of control. They are also less likely to practice safe sex, more likely to become a pregnant teen, and more likely to contemplate or attempt suicide, according to childhelp.org. There are many programs in Florida educating youth on teen abuse, such as the Florida Coalition Against Domestic Violence. But what strategies are these programs using to reach a larger audience?
We operate the abuse hotline, and there was a point in time when we were averaging about 800 calls a day. That now has moved to almost 1,200 calls a day. And if you look at domestic violence, which I think you clearly articulated is too prevalent today, there's been an increase in referrals to domestic violence centers of about 37%. And everything I know about domestic violence and about homelessness and about child abuse and adult abuse, to a large extent, is driven by, I think, 3 factors. Mental health, substance abuse, and economic stress. And as this economy has taken a dive, we have seen a concurrent increase in domestic violence. So as a result of that, the department, along with our community-based care organizations, have really attempted to integrate domestic violence services into child welfare. And that had not been the case in the past. We had these silos of domestic violence and child welfare, and none of them talk to each other. So now what we've done is try to provide access to services where we identify domestic violence, so that we're not just referring to services, that we're actually making sure that those services occur. I think you pointed out quite clearly that domestic violence in the home, whether there's violence against the children or not, have a traumatic effect on children at the same time. So the key to this, I think for all of us, is to attempt to integrate the services that we have: mental health, substance abuse, and domestic violence. That has not happened in the past, and I think that we are now moving in the right direction, but we are clearly a long way away from the kind of clear integrations of services that I think all of us feel are necessary. The real purpose of this cabinet, Governor, is to see that those kind of services are integrated, and I think we've made some progress in the last year, but we've got a long way to go.
From the Department of Health, we started out a group division that's called Positive Youth Development, and we have 2 websites that I just wanted to make you aware of. One of them is teentruth.org, and that's in order to empower children and also help parents with a lot of the issues that you have talked about. And it's a very interactive sort of website that you can, depending on your choices, different scenarios come up and role-playing opportunities. So I urge you to look at that, teentruth.org. And the second one is called faceitflorida.com, and that's in order to discuss sexually transmitted diseases. Again, it's a very much of a role-playing, automated, interactive website to help, again, children and teenagers make the right choices, and in a very non-threatening, very non-stigma related website, be able to address some of these issues.
Sure. First of all, let me clarify, I am not a member of the cabinet, but the Surgeon General asked me to sit here this morning as the head of Children's Medical Services. We do have our child protection teams that work very closely with the Department of Children and Family to evaluate kids who are abused. And Elisse, you have really documented very well this morning the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, which was done by a couple of physicians out in California. What it demonstrates is that all domestic violence and all violence that children see early in life leads to poor choices later in life. You mentioned drug and alcohol abuse, you mentioned teen pregnancy, you mentioned kids dropping out of school early. We can also point out that later in life, these same individuals have an increased incidence of cancer, heart disease, hypertension, and many other, obesity would be the other one that really affects our culture. So it's vitally important that we know when kids are being abused and that we step in to prevent that. Let me also throw in that a form of abuse that exists today, that didn't in my day, frankly, is the bullying that takes place electronically, something we need to pay close attention to, and I've got the red lights, I've got to stop.